So welcome here, Speak Up Monday, every Monday here at Tropical Nomad. Tonight is episode 412, and it's focused on Bali being a World Health Tourism destination. And we have an incredible panel that we had a great chat earlier on. I love these people already. You're already brother and sister. That's how it's going to be tonight. So let me just read from this sheet to give you just an insight as to what we're going to be doing. So as I mentioned before, through this panel discussion of experts, we're going to learn about Bali and Indonesia's infrastructure and initiative for better health in 2024 to be shared globally, meeting international standards, state-of-the-art medical facilities, and upgrade of trained staff to cater to this growing trend and focus on vitality and longevity. Now, we have a wonderful, as I mentioned, panel, which I'm going to ask them shortly, not quite yet, to introduce themselves. But my name is Robert Ian Bonnick, as you know, the founder of Speak Up Monday and RIB and Associates. And we're a growth strategist in Indonesia, also a super connector, and we're the glue that brings together long-term beneficial projects for either foreign companies or domestic companies in Indonesia. So let's get on to our guests. So a quick word. So at the end, we have my brother, as I said, brother and sister already. So Dr. Amin is a Health Hub Bali global expert, integrative health, functional and preventative medicine. And I know there's more, but we'll give you that chance soon. My sister, Ibu Mudi Astuti. I got it right. She is the chair of the World Travel Network and co-chair of Indonesian Health Tourism Promotions Board. And obviously we have here Tracy G, my sister, who is the founder of Health Hub Bali. Now, as I mentioned before, this is episode 412, and the takeaways tonight are threefold. So one is, why Bali, and what is difference in Bali's health tourism options? Number two is, why are testing and tailored treatments planned and already available here in Bali? And number three is the future of medicine, preventative, precision, preservation, and what is Bali's integrative health model. Quite an intro. There we go. So look, I think the best way to proceed, and we'll start at the end this time. So I've given just a very brief intro into you, but it'll be wonderful to hear from your own mouth, your own lips, what brought you, to where you are now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Rob. It's amazing, and thank you for this platform, reaching out to the whole world about Bali and what's available here. I'm Dr. Amin. I'm an integrative physician, and I'm based out of Chennai. And I have been spending my time in this field for about good 20 years, integrative medicine, and traveling all around the world, spreading the news. And I'm also work closely with something called RGCC, which is Regional Genetic Cancer Center. And they revolutionized the field of cancer care. And primarily, like in the field of cancer, which is coming from the integrative approach, there's a whole lot happening. There's a whole lot. For example, just to give you an example, everybody knows curcumin. Like curcumin is turmeric extracts. Usually when we develop a drug for managing cancer, like chemotherapy drugs, what happens is it just manages one pathway, means it interferes with the development of cancer, one pathway, and the drug is approved. Whereas when it comes to curcumin, which is through the natural medicine, it interferes with 21 different pathways. All right. And Bali, you have the Balinese medicine where we use a lot of turmeric, but nobody knows about it. So integrative medicine, there's a whole lot of evolution happening. It's just that nobody knows about it, so they take it very lightly. So my passion through Health Hub Bali is to bring this information and as well as ensure this kind of high concentrated nutrition is available and the information is available and ensure it is, reaching out the whole community. So that has been my passion and been spending a whole lot of time reaching out to the community and educating them about it.
Wow. Yeah. We spoke about before about this, this integrative model where we're becoming the entry level being science, and then we go from there. But I had a very good friend, Indian fellow, and he was one of the most knowledgeable. Now I know who you remind me of, just exquisitely in touch with India, the culture, and the centuries millennia of health and treatment and so on, and bringing these ancient methodologies to the fore. So looking forward to hearing a little bit more about that tonight. So thank you so much. Thank you. So if you pass the microphone to you, my sister, and the same goes. So I've given you a little bit of an intro, but only a tiny piece, and feel free now to kind of share with us the rest of what's coming up for you that will give everybody here and watching at home a good insight into who you are.
Okay, thank you, Rob. My name is Udi Astuti. I was maybe like about 30 years more being in tourism industry. Before we have like Indonesia Tourism Promotion Board, and I was the head for trade marketing for Indonesia Tourism Board. But then after Reformation, we call it, before was Orde Baru era, and then after taken over with Reformation, we have new policy that the body of Indonesia Tourism Board is being handled by the government. So then, we are more into independent organizations to support tourism industry in Indonesia. And as we are living in Bali, Bali's economy is like more 90% more depending into from tourism. So Bali is always the door for Indonesia tourism to grow, the example, if we may say. So being 30 years, then now I'm heading into the WTN, World Tourism Network organization, which is a global tourism organization. We have 134 country members, and I'm heading or chairing the chapter for Indonesia. And the second reason why I'm handling Indonesia Health Tourism Promotion Board together with an association is called Medical Tourism Association Indonesia, which is majority health expert. So we sort of like join between tourism and the health expert players to support medical tourism in Indonesia, started in Bali. Thank you, Rob.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And as we had this great conversation just prior to this, which I really loved and enjoyed, and it set the frame, is what I love about the both of you is that, again, it's this unity aspect, this unity and diversity being the motto of Indonesia, but also this aspect of how can we collaborate more, stakeholders, government, large and bring large to small, these small to medium-sized enterprises, to ensure that we get a really good spread across and bring some of the things that we're talking about tonight into action, right, into evidence. So thank you so much. Tracy, over to you. I know people know you already, but for those who don't, it'd be great to introduce yourself again. Thank you.
My name's Tracy, and I'm the founder of Health Hub Bali, which has been here in Bali for more than 10 years, and it's been connecting people to better health. But to do that, we need the doctors, we need the hospitals, we need the centres, the clinics, the programs, and the awareness that people know that their body can heal.
Thank you. So look, let's start with our first question. So the first question here is, why Bali? What is the difference in Bali's health tourism options? So who would like to start that? I'm looking right at you, Moody. Tracy can start, yeah.
Okay. As I mentioned, that Bali is actually the door for tourism in Indonesia. All foreign airlines, international airlines, came to Bali. And Bali is majority tourism tourists. I mean, number of tourists from Bali is 60% across Indonesia. So Bali is very much important for Indonesia tourism to contribute a number of travelers and to the economy. So that is part of the point. And Indonesia, the government and also the private is committed to build this special economic zone. One belong to government and the other is belong to private in Bali. So that is the commitment shown by the government and the private to support Bali to be the medical tourism destination, hopefully can position in the global market. Thank you.
Wonderful. Tracy, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, just from the aspect of people and through the world, they've often had Bali in their mind as a They come here as a health seeker or what these days a vitality seeker as well. So they're looking for something in the health domain.
And look, going to Chennai, wonderful place in India, very busy city. I know you've maybe haven't been in Bali for so long, but what have you noticed, that perhaps, you could bring or maybe suggest from the system and the way it works there to Bali, and what would you say?
Okay, the one thing I observed here is that people are so much more happier comparing to all the other countries I have traveled to. They all are genuinely happy, genuinely, smiling, which is, I think, very important. And having that, like, everyone has this energy about Bali. Going to Bali, it just naturally makes you, the healing energy is already pre-existing. But the trouble is, there are a lot of initiatives need to be taken. Number one is standardization of medicine. Like whatever practice, there's no standardization. So the levels need to be elevated according to the international standards. For example, in order to Bali to become a tourism destination, they need to establish the standards, number one. Number two, that requires a lot of constant training. So we are also intending to bring in the world experts, the big guns, to come here and conduct courses and continuously educate not only the local market and also for the Southeast Asian market. So that way we can actually make this an educational hub, which actually really helps everyone to actually just come in. And on top of that, so eventually, it becomes like the overall business and everything start to leverage based on that. There are so many different kind of fields and experts. It all can come in and create that kind of awareness where the health network, the business, everything start to evolve. So that's primarily what is required. And last and finally, we are also pitching more for research and development. So this research part, like we all know that Balinese medicine is there and integrative medicine is there. What is lacking is, it's not that the research is lacking. The research is happening all over the world, but the local awareness is non-existent. So in order to bring that here, so we were actually discussing this morning and talking about meta-analysis, which is the pre-existing clinical studies in other countries on, say, turmeric and ginger and garlic. What is actually being very much used in every Asian countries. And we can actually gather them as part of Balinese medicine. We do a meta-analysis. So that way, we, improve that authenticity. Like people start to have faith in it and they start consuming it so that the doctors also believe that. So what we are talking here is about precision medicine, all right? With precision medicine, and evidence-based medicine. So it's not a random voodoo thing. So it's a lot of accuracy, it's a lot of precise information, so that the whole medical community is very open towards integrative medicine. And those are all the initiatives that we are aiming for.
Great answer. Just going to our audience here. So when we talk about integrative medicine, raise your hands if you have an idea of what that means. Integrative medicine. Raise your hand, okay. Raise your hand if you have no idea what that means. Great. All right. So let's go back. And we want to keep people together. And, the straw poll here is usually what's being felt there, right? So how would, and this goes to anyone here, how would you describe integrative medicine?
Okay, it's a very good question because I think, first of all, the primary awareness must be there before we dive deep into the topic. Okay, we all know that allopathy or modern medicine, all right, where typically you go to a doctor, hospital, tablets, capsules, it all comes. And there's another side to it, which is basically alternative medicine. So it can be right from acupuncture to Ayurvedic to Balinese medicine. So they are all traditional medicine, otherwise, as we call it. Now, there's a new area of medicine. We also call it functional medicine. Why? You see, there was a time there were a lot of infective disorders and antibiotics and things like that saved a lot of lives. Whereas we are in a time where something called non-communicable disorder, NCDs we call it. Non-communicable disorder, things like diabetes. Can it be cured by medicine? No. Then we are coming to cancer. Then we are coming to depression, anxiety. We are coming to high cholesterol. So these are all obesity, metabolic disorders. So these are all the ones, you see, it's a physician-centric model, right now what we have, and we want to move it towards patient-centric model. The patients should feel responsible for their own health. And for that, it's not that this system is better than that system is better than this system. That's not the idea. So when we integrate all of this together, we are creating a platform where the patient get to choose the best for their health. And so improving health is one element, and then sustaining there at a greater height is something that's very vital for long run, right? So integrative approach is nothing but integration of modern medicine and traditional medicine combined together for a greater clinical outcome for the patients, in simple terms.
Love that. And look, so just, and I'm going to bring you in just a moment, but Tracy as well, just because, I think it's important that people understand the scientific part of this. So what can you add, combine with Dr. Amin? What would you add to that, if there is anything? Yeah.
Right. I just wouldn't add, but clarify. So we've got medical, which is allopathic. We have health, and we have wellness within the tourism industry. Through the world, we have medical tourism, where we can go to Thailand or Turkey, all sorts of places through the world. All they are doing, most are going there for operations. We say there's no healing there. That's in health. This is the difference, the point of difference with Bali's health model. It's a place to get better. So we start west and then we go east, meaning that we get the baselines, we find out what is actually the issue, and based on that we create these programs. So you can have medically informed retreats, and it's a preventative model. It's about resetting and restoring health and elevating life.
Right. Did everybody hear that? Just making sure.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, everyone heard it? That's good. All right, good. So now, as you've had such a wonderful 30-year experience here, in Bali and around this whole medical, health, wellness, tourism, and this is not one of the questions, but it's just coming up now. From, the perspective, which I'll just get some background now. So of the people here, I want you to raise your hand, right, and give me a number. So 1 is terrible, 10 is fantastic, right? 1, terrible, 10, fantastic, right? So the first question is, how many people have been involved in the health, medical, or wellness industry here in Bali as a patient, for example? Raise your hand. Have you been to hospital in Bali, for example? Raise your hand. Yep. Have you been to hospital in Bali before? A medical center? You are doing great. And how about you gentlemen over here? Have you been to hospital before in Bali?
I've been, but not as a patient.
Not as a patient. Great.
I've been to a clinic.
You've been to a clinic. Okay, great. So now we're going to do the score. So 1 to 10. 1 being, oh, 10 being, woohoo, right? So which score would you give it, right? And we'll go from this way to that way. So you have more time to think, and you don't, because I know you can handle it. So what score would you give it? 7. So what impressed you? And then I'll relate it back.
The speed and the ease.
Speed and the ease. Great.
Minimal checks, straight in, fix stuff. That's it.
Great. Minimal speed, check, and you got a great outcome quickly. Wonderful. Okay, over here. What score would you give your experience 1 to 10? You're not on camera this time, by the way. You're okay.
It was actually pretty quick for one of my...
Give me the score first, brother. The score.
9?
9. We got a 9. Because remember, these guys can't hear you, so I'm telling them. 9 out of 10. Why did you give it a 9 out of 10?
It was incredibly fast compared to Australia.
Incredibly fast compared to Australia.
Yes.
Wonderful. My brother with the army, looking good, looking buff. So how about you? You went to clinic. What was your 1 to 10?
I would say a 6.
A 6. All right. Now, why would you give it a 6?
I don't feel like, I wouldn't go lower than 6 because it was a good experience.
Good experience.
However, I don't feel like there was enough information I was getting.
Wasn't enough information that you were given.
I feel like I had so many questions still.
So you had so many questions unanswered. Great. Again, this is really good feedback. All right. Anyone else got anything to add to that? Okay. It's okay. All right. Good. So now coming back to yourself, you spent 30 years, and I know that you've had both, an administrative view of this, and you would know people who have been patients coming the other way. So the patient focus. So what would you say would be some of the biggest challenges that the system administratively, infrastructurally would need to deal with to become a world tourism, health tourism destination?
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Rob. I think I mean, this is the thing that we actually need. What Tracy also mentioned, everybody is saying that we have to be integrated. We have to have an integrated service, let's say like a call center for Bali Health Tourism destination, for example. So this call center will not only, of course, putting up the service, but then we also have kind of interactive communication with the patient that being treated in Bali, for example. And we know the journey, the experience that the patient have. Then from there, we have to analyze and we have to improve. So that is what happened with tourism always. That's why in any other country, we always have a tourism promotion board with the job to open a call center integratedly, and then we do some kind of analysis on the communication process and all that. Then it comes to another campaign. So the campaign, which is very much related to service center, is the one that we have to have in Bali, for example, to start with. And that's what we are working for it.
Great. And then on this note, thank you, call centers. So with Health Hub as well, I know one thing is like a health coach. Can you explain to everyone a little bit about what that entails?
Okay. So what happens is when there's a health issue, people are going to doctors. Doctors in the West don't have a lot of time. They're giving you information and usually dealing with the symptom that you're going there for. So the concept the thought is that Bali people have time and space to address their health issues. They'll still go to a doctor, but then they need basically a co-pilot to navigate their health issue and then go through the different programs. We say there's 9 levels. So first of all, reset and restore, and then bring the life back into the body, depending on the triage, what means, what issue it is, if it's an emergency or if it's just a lifestyle change. But whatever it is, there's something there in the banquet of modalities to create a personalised program.
Great. So we're talking about a personalised program of health, utilising health coaches, and as you're saying, that call centre, brilliant idea. And just quickly, so those of you living in Bali, so Pantai Predanan, which is in Predanan, right? So opposite Monsieur Spoon is Health Hub Bali. That's where you'll find Tracy. And so much information, as you were saying before, didn't have the information. So she sits on calls pretty much every month with some of the most eminent, including those seated right here, practitioners from around the world. And as it then has the accessibility to the latest knowledge. Yeah. So as you were saying before, one of the challenges that you faced was that you felt that you didn't have all the information, right? So this is partly to help that. So you can drop in there anytime. Find them on social media, Health Hub Bali, and that's where they are, okay? So now one thing I'll quickly add to that. So if you're on LinkedIn, there's a guy called Ross Woods, right? A very common name, possibly Ross Woods. He is the most, from what I've seen, I've been following him for some time. We haven't even spoken, by the way, so we don't have a business relationship or anything. But he provides the most in-depth feedback, knowledge about Bali in terms of tourism, numbers, accommodation, people coming, going, and really, really in-depth. So, for example, Bali was one of the top rebound destinations for tourism in the world. And he goes into the reasons why. Graphically, you can see really clearly the reasons why. So the reason why we're talking about this now is because, Bali is, as we know, it's like the gateway to Indonesia for many foreigners like myself, perhaps Tracy as well, and some of you watching here. So it's really important that with retirement tourism becoming very much bigger, skilled migration, which is being targeted by the government from a central government all the way down through a raft of, I think, 10 or 15 new types of B1 visa. So it's really important that foreigners, Westerners as well as Indonesians, feel safe and secure with the medical tourism system in place. So that's why we're talking about this tonight, right? So next question, I'm going to grab the sheet here, just while I can call it out. So what are the testing and tailored treatments planned and already available here in Bali? Who would like to answer that one?
Tracy. Okay, then. Yeah. Right. So with the testing, that's when I go to Dr. Amin in particular, just in the last couple months with the circulating tumour cells. Would you like to share that one?
So you've got a microphone there?
Sorry.
See, there's a lot of new innovation happening in the field of health. Specifically, she's talking about CTCs, which is circulating tumor cell. We all know about biopsies, particularly for cancer patients. All right. So what biopsy is nothing but cut a piece of tumor and send it to analysis to understand about the nature of the cancer itself. Whereas nowadays there is something called CTCs, or we call it liquid biopsy. As the name goes, liquid biopsy is nothing but draw the blood and send the blood sample, and from the blood sample there is something called CTCs, which is nothing but circulating tumor cell. When the cancer is about 5 mm, very small size, cancer is actually deadly not because it's growing in one place, just purely because it is spreading to other organs, and we all know that, right? Now, in the effort to spread, it's already circulating in the blood and trying to locate a weak link in the body. Now, there are technologies to isolate those particular cells, and when we isolate that, we would be able to study those cells and see what are the best treatment options from chemotherapy point. Like there are about over 60 drugs which can be tested on that. And we would be able to tell the toxic potential of killing a cancer cell of each and every drug. And that way, you would be able to precisely say which drug to give. Otherwise, it's always a guessing game oncologists play. Whereas here, it is not necessary anymore. All right. On the other hand, it even helps us to, actually, there are a lot of natural extracts, like we're talking about curcumin, and genistein. There are a lot of other natural elements, and we would also be able to check on these natural extracts to see what is the natural potential of them impacting a cancer cell. So these are all the new advantages, advanced science happening in the field of cancer management, whereas it's not being available here, and no oncologist, for that matter, no integrative physicians know about it. So the idea of all this testing and integration and bringing forth this information is to make sure that, it's very essential that these information is familiar to the doctors, so they can make sure that these information is available to the patients and the patients' lives can be saved. We can think of someone who has been smoking for 20 years and thinking, am I going to develop cancer or not? All it requires is about 15 ml of the blood, send it for testing, and look for circulating tumor cell. If it is there, obviously, it's just a matter of time. You already have cancer, it's in your blood, but it's just a matter of time before you develop it in some organs. It's really that simple. So the idea of integrating and moving forth and educating the medical community is about bringing the latest medical information out to the community.
So that's about identifying that first. So particularly with Dr. Amin, this is now in Indonesia, this test, as of 2 months ago. When was that signed?
Yeah, 2 months ago.
Yeah. So that's through Southeast Asia, based here from Indonesia, with Dr. Amin heading that. Apart from that, another clinic in Malaysia, which Dr. Amin is also connected with us. There, I would call it like a Paracelsus, the top clinic in Switzerland, as the benchmark for like a biohacking clinic from decades ago. That clinic was created by an Indonesian doctor who's had a hospital here in Indonesia for the last 20 years, which I didn't know, but that was his creation. All those machines and all those equipments are here in Indonesia, licensed. So we have them sporadic, like through different places. The idea with, or the concept with Health Hub, that we go in and we bridge any of the gaps. Whatever's missing clinics, we create these whole health program journeys for people, and that they, whatever's not there, based on functional medicine, we can offer complete circuits.
It's amazing. My darling, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, I think what Indonesia and especially Bali in this sense, the government and the industry, of course, they're very much committed to make sure that Bali traditional medicine can be sort of like integrate with medical treatments, medical and wellness treatment. So I think with that commitment, they really wants to pick up the quality, to upgrade the standard, and then the quality of the resources and all that is part of the commitment. And it's good that we have international expert to support us, and we are working with Bali expert and also in the national level. So I think that integration should be done to help Bali to make whatever, the dreams come true. Thank you.
So we have, just to maybe to summarize, and if I make a mistake, I'm sure you're going to help me afterwards. So again, foreigner here, many of you are, or whether you are or not, my wife is Indonesian, it doesn't really matter. I mean, we want to feel safe, that if we have something that we're suffering from, or maybe an accident that we've had, we want to feel safe and comfortable that we can get the treatment here. And as most of you know, Jokowi last year, there was a review that was done and realized that billions of dollars are leaving Indonesia to go to other places because the perception is that, the treatments there will, let's say, people are more comfortable to go there as opposed to be in Indonesia. So since that time, there's been a raft of improvements which are being made, including, as many of you know, the Special Economic Zone in Sanur, which is a special economic zone for health and medical. And there's several clinics and hospitals coming here that maybe someone here can comment more on in a minute. So to get into the system, so functional medicine, is going to the core of what's causing what's happening to you. So for example, mental, spiritual, emotional. So if you, for example, might have a headache, let's say, right? And you get these headaches all the time, and maybe they're across your left eye and they're just piercing headaches. So functional medicine is saying, well, what is causing the headache? Not just here's a tablet that will temporarily take the symptoms away. It's saying, well, what is actually causing this to happen? Mental, emotional, spiritual. So what we're doing and what we're talking about here is a system where you have this integrative model. So perhaps it will start off with a science-based measurement. So you have measurement devices which are used, a raft of which people can talk about here, or you can look at the last 23 episodes of the show, and you would have met many founders of those instruments and some who use them, incredible things. So now we're talking about solid baselines that you can test. So it's not, I love spiritual stuff as well. It's not measuring your aura or your auric field, which is another great thing to do. It's science, hard science-based. Once you enter in that, so now we know what the diagnosis is when it comes to the prognosis. In other words, how do we treat this? Then you have this raft of opportunities to use the alternative treatments that we're talking about, or the hard science treatments. So what we're talking about now is how do we develop a model in Bali being an incredible place to set this up, due to its size, due to the fact that its culture, unity and diversity naturally brings all of us together. I see an Englishman, I see a Chinese lady, maybe Chinese, help me out afterwards, right? I see Germans, I see Indonesians. So we have a whole raft of different cultures, ideologies coming together harmoniously in one place, in an island that supports us from an emotional, mental, spiritual and physical perspective. So this makes it an incredible place to bring this kind of model into existence for us, not to be the test cases, but for us to be the guinea pigs in a way, right? So that's really what this whole series has been talking about, going deep into detail on how each aspect of that works. So please make sure that you watch those past 23 episodes to get that update. Now, help me in case I made some mistakes. What's coming up for you? And we'll go to our last question.
All right. So what's happening here in Bali, like today, we're in one hospital, and we're talking about pilot programs with hospitals of integrating a traditional, shall we call it wellness centre?
Yes.
Okay. This is legally, this is from the government as well. And then having the science backed up with the university in the trials. And then so what that gives us as individuals is choices and options. We get the testing, what solutions there are, but we've got choices. And that starts a health journey.
Love it. Anything you'd like to add to that, Moody or Amin?
There is this approach called the good gardening approach. So what's usually happening is, like, for example, say a gardener is there, there's a tree, and suddenly he notices that one of the branch of the tree started to turn brown. All right. Now you have two choices. You can pull off that particular branch, or you can probably color the branch green. Well, it seems to be solving the problem. But usually a good gardener, what he does is he actually looks at the tree and thinking like, there must be something at the root. There may be an infection. There may be, not enough water. There may not be, there are certain nutrients lacking. So what he actually started to do is start attending to the tree and start taking care of that. When he does that at the ground level, the tree eventually, grows and gets a whole lot better. So this is the approach what we want to take. Generally, there is an approach called duct tape approach, as you said. So as you are driving a car, suddenly there is the blinker comes in front, and you go to a mechanic, and a car mechanic basically takes a scissor and cuts off the wire to the blinker light and says, problem solved. We don't accept that, right? We actually want them to open up and really look, resolve the issue, and thus the light turns off. That's the approach what we like. And if your car spoils, we can always throw it away and get another one. Whereas when it comes to your own health, your own body, as you said rightly, when you get a headache, it's all right to take paracetamol, relieve the headache, but when you get it back, give it a thought. It may be just a simple stress, dehydration. There may be a brain tumor growing in. God knows, right? So the point of integrative medicine is all about diving deeper and understanding why, what. So again, like as I said, like a few thousand years back, I'm not sure, I had read it somewhere, where in China, every street had a doctor. And this particular doctor get paid when everyone is healthy in that particular street. If anybody falls sick, there's a bit of a penalty on that physician's salary. So what happens is he makes sure everyone eats healthy food, the water is very clean, the area hygienic, and everyone's mental health is good. So I call that the healthcare model. So unfortunately, what we have here today is a disease care model. All right, like the physicians can't wait for you to fall sick, and they want to keep you sick for long. Not everyone, but in most cases, right? Because you don't get disease because of deficiency of prescription drugs. You don't, right? It's nutritional. So an integrative approach is nothing but relieve your symptom, then ask the question, why did you get the symptom? Go to the root, resolve it, so that the quality of life can be phenomenal. So it's not about just adding years to your life, it's also adding life to your years.
So just for those tuning in, I'm going to go to the paper, right? So in a minute, I'm going to have the last question here. So we like to be guided by the audience. So if there's any questions that you may have, you have two opportunities. So one is now, in about a minute's time, but you will be on camera, right? We'll get the third microphone from you, Dr. Amin, and we'll get it out to the audience. So that will be on camera. So if you have something that you don't want to be on camera, then wait to the second option. The second option is once we close the show, then you'll have an opportunity to speak directly to anyone here, and maybe might be a question of a more private nature, and I'm sure that they'll answer it for you. So before we get there, I just want to quickly recap a few things. So now tonight is about Bali as a world health tourism destination, and through this panel of experts, we're learning about Bali and Indonesia's infrastructure and initiative for Better Health 2024. To be shared globally, meeting international standards, state-of-the-art medical facilities, and upgrade of trained staff to cater to this growing trend and focus on vitality and longevity. Now, we've heard already from Dr. Amin, the HHB, which stands for Health Hub Bali, global expert, integrative health, functional and preventative medicine. So we've heard from my sister, right? Ibu Mudi Astuti, thank you. Got it right the first time, incorrect the second time. We'll work on it. Chair and World Travel Network and co-chair of Indonesian Health Tourism Promotions Board, and obviously Tracy G here, the founder of Health Hub Bali. So now, remember, if you have a question, you know what each of them do. So my last question to them now is the future of medicine, preventative, precision, preservation. What is Bali's integrative health model? Now, we've dealt with most of this already. So what I would say is that just going to each of you now, before we go to questions, is there anything else that's come up during this quick discussion that you would like to let people know of in relation to this integrative health model, in relation to Bali as a world health tourism destination?
Okay, so personally, as once I came over here, when I started connecting to all the experts and things like that, what I realized is that there is an acute demand. Even from the health experts, there's an acute demand. They feel like we need that in order to create a sustainable health model. So the demand is already there, which was very good, because in many other countries, the demand has to be created, they need to be educated, then finally their mind opens up. But as such, for example, this morning we had a phenomenal event, and everyone's mind was already there, and their mind is already open. So it's all about just bringing the right structure into it and implement, and eventually, let everyone benefit from that. So we can already see that evolution happening. So I was quite happy about the overall developments.
Wonderful. Moody, is there anything you'd like to add? You'll get another chance, by the way. It's not the end.
Right. Okay. You mentioned about the future of medicine, which is being a tourism person myself. I'm asking that question also during the presentation of our chair for Spa and Wellness Association, Indonesia Association. So the Dr. Lianiwati was saying that the key for your health is actually the positive mindset. So maybe scientifically, Dr. Amin and Tracy who can explain. So I think with having Bali as a health tourism destination is to support each other to have better health, and the key for your health is positive mindset. I think I would like to share that we know already, but sometimes we just have to pump in even more. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Tracy, anything you'd like to add at this point before we go to questions?
Okay. Yeah, so that model, it's a whole health care model, which we hammered today. It's not just one, it's whole. And that's what, because we have the retreats and the health resorts, we're in a position then to really create, people have got time and space, and we've also got a country that wants to support that, especially the functional medicine and upgrading to what the international standard is in that state. Yeah.
Wonderful. So if we ask maybe Ayu or Hadis, just to, if Dr. Amin will just pass the microphone, and if we have any questions, so raise your hand. Remember, no question is too silly. You've got, as you mentioned before, Dr. Amin, we're directed to a person, again, who's this integrative ninja. That's what I'm going to call you now, this integrative health ninja. Moody Astuti, I got it right the third time. Who's, again, this whole health and medical tourism model. And then Tracy, who is the founder of Health Hub Bali, this incredible platform connecting people to better health, but also connecting the dots, right? So working with government to help to fill some of these gaps, working together to create this robust, integrative health model, health and medical model for Bali and beyond, right? So any questions from anyone to get us started? Have a look, everyone. This is the point now. I knew it was coming. I felt you, brother. I felt the army coming in. All right. So just give us a moment while our brother Guzman moves a few cameras around and gets a mic in, and then we'll come to you in a second. So look, while we're waiting for that, when I get the thumbs up. As I mentioned before, Health Hub Bali, Tracy, is here in Bali. So if you are here in Bali, think of the Perairan or the Perairan, pronounce it differently every time, don't I? That region, Pantai Perairan, right go towards the end, towards the ocean. You'll see a Monsieur Spoon on your right. Tracy is opposite on the left. Health Hub Bali is an epicenter for incredible people like tonight and the last 23 episodes, and incredible knowledge, which is free, yeah? So you can just go there, have private conversations. You can also, some of these testing measurement devices, which are phenomenal. I've tried a bunch of them. They're amazing, right? You can go, you can try them as well to see how your body's doing, all right? So Ami, over to you. Thank you very much.
Yes, my name is Elijah, but I go by Chosen. So first, I want to say thank you for introducing me to the idea of integrated medicine. I learned a lot about that. You guys spoke very well on it, and I felt like it was easy for me to understand, so I appreciate that. And you guys have like a real passion for what you do as well. Sometimes I don't always see that in doctors and physicians and things like this. So I just have one big question. How can I hire you three on my staff?
Straight up pitch. Love it. My brother, respect to you, man. That's what I would have done.
So
So-
hopefully you have an answer for me or for us or something.
So just out of interest, in which, as in hire, as in your personal team, or are you building like a center?
Yes, because everybody needs a team like this. Like everyone needs physicians and doctors like this. So I'm being lighthearted as well, but also I just wanted to say I love how they presented it and everything like that.
You know, the interesting part, and I'll help to reshape that question. The interesting part is that, again, like, so I don't meet the wonderful guests that Tracy invites until 10, 15, 20 minutes before we start the show, right? So when I come in and you get a sense of people, when I look at these two, I know it's gonna be great, right? Because they've got such a beautiful, exquisite energy about them. And the conversation that we had before was so integrative, right? And just this understanding that we're unity and diversity. We're all here together to help one another, to grow and to create a robust system that we can all be happy with, right? So when you say about, you feel there, I get you.
Yeah,
I get you, brother.
No, it made me excited about it.
Yes.
And this is not a question. This is more of a statement. I love what Doctor. What's your name? Amin. Yeah. So he said, hey, you have a headache, you have some type of symptom. Don't just look past it. Maybe you look past it one time, but if you get it again, you should look into it. Be curious about it, and it let me. And then I thought about it. I said, well, I don't get any headaches, so I don't have to worry about that. But just different things like that, it makes sense. Like if you're seeing things over time, don't just let it go. Think about it, be curious. And at this moment, like I said, I don't really have a lot of health issues. So if it does come up, it would make sense to, don't use my gut. You know what I'm saying? And question it. So
Love it. And so look, here I'm going to reshape your question a little. So a great question, thank you, inspired by you, my brother, is, if someone wants to set up some type of facility, some type of center, which is, has health, medical wellness at the core, how would they go about doing it? Right? I'll go this one. Go for it.
We've got questionnaires they can fill in and they'll send it in, and our team, which is hundreds like this, very particular, the best on the planet, basically.
Health Hub Bali?
Yeah, Health Hub Bali, Health Hub Global, it's the same. And the model, the aim is to have this everywhere. We've got like places in Sri Lanka, they want to do this, but we're piloting here, we're seeing it here in Bali.
Beautiful. So now, it's like I'll grab this one. So please, I know you want to add to that. Yeah.
I would like just add this, like for example, you see the whole health, when it comes to overall health, optimal health, is all about body and mind, right? So body, mind, when it is integrated well, so there is this perfect 100% function, right? The function is just perfect. And when it is there is ease in the body. Means you just feel light, perfect, everything is there. Now, the ease is there. Now, when does the symptom come? Whether it is headache, whether it is joint aches and pains, rashes, allergies, digestive issues, these are the symptoms. So, when the symptoms come, so ideally what happened was the integrity between body and mind got disrupted. So, the mental health and physical health get disrupted. That leads to something called, we talked about function, 100%. That is malfunction. Okay, so this malfunction eventually lead to the ease we had that disappears. So it's called disease. So that's where the disease comes. And the disease eventually gives you symptom. So managing symptom alone doesn't resolve the issue we had with body and mind, then the malfunction what we had, then the ease what we have lost, which led to disease. So the idea of integrative medicine is always about integration of body, mind, and emotional health, right? Like there are aspects, physical, mental, emotional, and as well as social health, which is very important. So we always focus on getting that back in balance, and we do it in a very structured way. So as she mentioned, come to Health Hub Bali, and you have access to all those details. Thank you.
So if we pass the microphone, this microphone, Tracy, is dialed down for my voice. Right, otherwise, they're not going to hear you.
Okay. Yeah. And so the other aspect of this is about tourism. It's a health tourism venture, so that people can come here and then having these packages and it being tailored and for specific needs. And that's what we're piloting. That's the difference. Because at home, it's often your environment, which is the issue. So we say step out. We can explore that. And it's about connection to you. And this, over the last 2 years, we've had the the Balinese doctors and professors here, and we're talking about Bali, and it's about harmony. And as they're talking, it always gets back to that. We're actually all okay, that homeostatic reaction in us. But that's what the idea of these retreats. We've got doctors here, like Elvina behind you, who runs retreats as well. And within those realms, you can start, exploring health.
So now, thank you, my brother. Great question. So we have two more. So we have one from you, and then one from you, my dear. Can we get her a chair? Is that possible? Hadis? Because she's there squatting down. She does it well, but give her a chair. All right. So my brother, over to you.
How's it going, panel? Thank you, firstly, for providing us all of this juicy information. I've got a couple of questions. Maybe I'll try and keep them really short. For Ibu, I've only just been made aware of how the medical industry works in Indonesia, and I was told recently that a lot of the hospitals here, there's not contracts but agreements, or the Australians basically train some of the doctors in Indonesia. Is this how it currently is running, or it's something that was passed already, and is this a program that's ongoing?
Okay, thank you. Well, this is the thing that we came together to integrate. And for example, we work together with Health Hub Bali, also integrating with one association called Bali Medical Tourism Association, because this is the first time that the government opened up special economic zone in Bali, the one in Sanur and the other one in Turtle Island. So this special economic zone is actually the first for Indonesia, that now Indonesia have two kind of regulation pertaining to health. One is the regulation, which is, we call it regularly implement to all the hospitals and health industry in Indonesia. And the other is the regulation for health, which can be implemented only in special economic zone. For example, working with international doctors, nurses, all incentive to bring in technology from overseas, for example. So this special economic zone has special policy for the health itself. But of course, when it comes to, this is the first time Bali would like to promote globally as medical tourism destination, which is the component in it is health and wellness. So we can't just promote special economic zone, of course. We have to be as a destination to work together with hospitals, clinic, like what Dr. Amin was saying. We need to upgrade the standard that apply to international standard. And this is why very important we work together with Health Hub Bali to make sure that we can improve or upgrade the standard, not only in special economic zone, but the whole Bali. And then training to be done together, and regulation to support not only in special economic zone. What about if the hospitals or clinic outside special economic zone need technology, for example? How this thing can be worked out. So that is in the part of regulation. And the fourth is in the promotion itself. We have to come up with one branding and make sure that Bali would have a good reputation, because trust and reputation is very important in health. So that's what we're trying to do. And we can't do it alone. We need everyone to support this initiative. Thank you.
Man, I got goosebumps again. You keep doing it to me. Before we spoke now. Lovely. Great question, brother. And you kept down to 30 seconds like we did last week. Well done. Second question.
All right, so quick question for this one. If you have a loved one who may have a debilitating condition that stops them from traveling very far, but they're still, they've gotten rid of their problem, but it's because they've removed an organ, how would them transferring from one country to another, Indonesia, Bali, how would the process work with this, and what are the facilities that he can utilize?
Right. You want to answer that? Okay. Okay. Maybe Dr. Amin will support, but actually the initiative is like this. We have we have WTN Summit. It's a global tourism event. Because normally, Dr. Amin, this is what happened with us. If, for example, the patient in Bali, you're talking about rehabilitation, right? Okay. It could be like in the way what happened is referral and reciprocal collaboration. So we have to work together with global doctors. How can Bali doctors or Bali hospitals and clinic can work together with international doctors? So it's vice versa. If we have the patient and need to be treated overseas, then we have the partnership. And the other way around, if the doctor overseas would need the patient to be treated in Bali, for example, then the collaboration between the expert doctors is happening. So that's what we want to build in Bali, to have like a collaboration with global doctors to support or treat global market. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother. Wonderful. If you pass the microphone to your right, unless there's one more question, this will probably be the last one. Over to you, my dear. Yeah.
Sorry, I came in about an hour late. I actually left at 4 o'clock and still got here at 7 because of all these ceremonies and stuff. So I kind of got stuck.
You know what? Bad. You made it at the right time.
I did.
You're
so
here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So my question is, like, I'm coming from America. I've been here now a year and a half or a year, and my question is how to. If I'm going to be here long term and I would like to establish some kind of a healthcare routine for myself, is there a place that I can go, or how can I find out and trust the education and the certifications and the qualifications of the doctors abroad in general anyway? Because that's, like you said, the trust has to be there. And then I also think like developing a really good relationship, because I know in America we have like you might sit in there for 2 minutes and they don't talk to you, they don't look at you, they just go onto the computers. What is that like? Will that be a part of your system? Because it's really important. I'm trying to establish something here too, and I need to know that my doctor is going to take care of me and get to the root of the thing.
Great question.
Thank you.
Tracy?
We've had a few Americans come in like this with a long list and want all the. So it's very personal health too, who you choose. With the girls, women's health experts, we have local doctors who are functional medicine. I'm piloting one clinic, Health Hub has it half the week, in Ubud, one particular one, and it's mostly expat community going there. And she's doing wonderful work, okay? That's one. But we have health talks. And that's the model. It's mainly information and awareness you need, and just to be able to keep track and understand your blood work, etc. Yeah.
To fill in a few gaps whilst Dr. Amin comes in, so with the Health Hub Bali platform, so there are 3 aspects to it. One is this dissemination of latest information from around the world. That's one. Number 2 is this way to marry together the health seeker, which will be you, which is going to a practitioner, science back, so you have the testing instruments, which give you a really good understanding of what's happening. That's the diagnosis part of it. And then you're assigned like a health coach who can then direct you to the right points of call, which will be different for you, different for me, because we're individuals, right? For you to then take control of your own health. And then the third aspect is the certification aspect, which is in process, which is then about answering one of your questions there, is that how do you know that the person you're seeing is certified or has the right qualifications, experience to be handling the results that they're seeing from the instrumentation and so on, which is a really valid question. And then the last thing I'll add before Amin adds something in, I can feel he's going to do it. I love that. Just before. So what we did just before you got here, we just had a quick straw poll of people here, both foreigner and Indonesian, who'd been to the hospital or had some type of interaction in Bali with either the hospitals or the medical centers and so on. And again, I don't plan any of this stuff. It just comes, right? So I think the lowest score we got was a 6 out of 10. And then the highest, I think, was an 8 or 9 out of 10. And part of the things coming through were speed, were accuracy. And one of the ones that one person sitting right next to you actually mentioned was that, look, he had a 6, he had a good service, but he wasn't able to access the information that he needed. Now, I could say that some of these guys were not on camera and maybe they're inflating slightly their answers. Let's just say they are a little bit. Because I've also heard people that haven't had a good time. You know, yeah, there you go.
I didn't.
Oh, good. Well, we can hear a little bit more about that in a second. So again, we know that what we heard today is not representative of the whole, right? It's a view, but we also understand that there's also work to do. So I'm going to skip. Give it back to Dr. Amin, and then if you would like, either on camera or afterwards, it'll be interesting to hear what your experience was. So Dr. Amin, over to you.
Yeah. I think in this approach, there are two sides to it. One is the modern medicine approach to it, and I think all across the world, particularly in Southeast Asia, this is the kind of standardization what we are facing as well. I think the policies have been revised and there is constant improvement happening. On the other hand, to integrative medicine side of it, unfortunately, there are countries where the government is absolutely not monitoring that at all. And our effort through Health of Bali and World Tourism Network, we are trying to establish those kind of standards. So what happens is the government can adapt these policies and replicate the other models which are working very successfully in other countries. So once that is set, there is at least a bare minimum expected standards applied all across this, Board of Medicine, so that you can actually rely on that. And we are working very hard to establish that as well. Yeah.
Now, my dear, you don't have to, because again, you can do it afterwards. But would you like to give us just the broad brushstrokes? Don't go into detail.
Yeah, I won't
just
go
the
into
broad
detail.
brushstroke, just quickly of what you experienced. Yeah.
For sure. I think for me, so I was experiencing, it was actually a water contamination thing going on, and I don't think that it's gone yet. But I'll ask you off camera, and we'll talk about that. But I think there was, and I'm in Ubud, so I think there was a language barrier. Me wanting to know, should we do a blood panel? Can we do these things? But then they didn't quite want to do really any of the things. They were like, no, this is what this is based on the symptoms that I said, instead of actually doing the testing that I really wanted to do. And then they just gave me an antibiotic and was like, okay, be back in 10 days if it's not gone or whatever. And so I ended up in my bed for 10 days. I couldn't move. My body shut down. I was done. And I didn't know what else to do, because then I had lost trust. So that, for me, was kind of they just weren't listening.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you. Now, would anyone like to respond to that? Thank you so much, my dear, because again, this is what it's about, right? Because if we don't face what's actually there, then we're living in La La Land. And we don't live in La La Land, we want to live in the real world, right? Where we understand what the problems are. Once you know what the real problems are, then you can come up with a real solution. So thank you for sharing that. But is there anything that anyone would like to add, and then we'll probably look to close the show?
Yes. So that's why earlier we were talking about a physician's centric model to patient-centric model. I mean, your health is your responsibility. That's a reality today. All right. And as much as we want the physicians to take responsibility for your health, that's never forthcoming, purely because most of the physicians on average seeing anywhere between 50 to 100 patients a day, and they hardly get like 10 minutes, and anything longer, there's like nurse knocking at the door, and this is actually happening, whereas conditions like this need a deeper dive to understand what's happening. Unfortunately, it does happen. It's a medical negligence, unfortunately, that you have to go through that. But let's hope that it gets better over time.
Woody or Trace, you'd like to add anything to that, and then we'll begin to come to a close. This microphone, this one, they won't hear your voice.
I'll probably say, it's not okay what happened. Today, talking with the doctors, we're talking about what they call SOPs, and for different things, particularly whatever's common, water contamination, Bali, belly. We're talking Health Hub, putting these in place and giving options, starting allopathic, going right to other options as well. And also what testing, so that even though it's a gap in the education of all doctors globally, to know what these are. That's in functional medicine you're talking. So then we're training these ones up to have this list. Yeah.
Thank you again. All right. So look, we'll bring the show to a close. Now, before I instigate those sort of proceedings, so in a minute or so, and we'll start with you, Dr. Amin, and work our way this way. So if there's anything else that you'd like to add, now this can be something that you maybe reiterate, or it might be something which, hey, this is something that came up that I haven't had the chance to say, and I feel it's important to say it now. So you have that opportunity as well, all right? So that in about a minute and a half, so you got a bit of time to think. So just a few things from me. First, I just want to thank the audience for coming. It's been raining here in Bali. The rain's getting crazy. We thought rainy season was done, but it's just beginning, it feels like. So firstly, I want to thank you, and just to reiterate to you who's watching either on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube Live, that it's really great to watch online, but it's better to come in person, right? Because you get, again, incredible people here and here, right? So what we find is that each episode, as you know, we're about entrepreneurism and social impact, which is kind of everything when you think about it, but entrepreneurism and social impact. So each episode attracts the people who are moved or attracted to that topic. So what that means that you get are people who are really interested to the point that they'll get up off their behind and walk or get on a bike or a taxi to come here. So they're very motivated. So that means that the networking side of it is very good, because you will meet people. We have doctors in the audience that I want to have a chat to afterwards, and it's a health episode, so we have this health type of audience. Where there's a business type of, we had Tom Corley the other day, a phenomenal entrepreneur. It was very much an entrepreneurial audience. So just keep these things in mind. The last thing, or the penultimate thing, is to thank Tropical Nomad, very good friends and technical partner. Here we have Guzman, we have Sister Ayu and Brother Hadis around. I don't know why I get into saying Hadis's name, but it just rolls off the tongue so well. Thank you very much indeed. Incredible people. Thank you, my brother. And just remember, Health Hub Bali, if you're here in Bali, I can't stress enough, you've seen Tracy now. She's such a wonderful human, and she really is, right? So if, and has a great bedside manner. See that, the doctor, bedside manner, Tracy. So if you have something that you're either worried about, concerned about, go get it tested. That's a great place to start, right? Health Hub Bali, Pantai, or Jalan Pantai Peredanan, opposite Monsieur Spoon. I'm sure you know where that is. Go in and see them. Get tested, get this modern instruments to scientifically, hard science, diagnose exactly what's going on with you, and then have this whole plethora of incredible treatments, both hard science as well as alternative and Balinese, we're in Bali, right, to help to cure what you have and help you take control of your own health. So that's it from me. I'll be seeing you next week as well. Remember, we're here every Monday. Come and join us 6 o'clock to join us, and at 6:25 we go live. So coming back to our incredible panel, Dr. Amin, I'm going to give you a word in a minute. Mudi, thank you so much. And Sister Tracy, I love this because, 23 episodes ago, I knew about this much about health. Okay, maybe this much, maybe that much. But through Tracy introducing to some incredible guests, I learned so much every week from each of you. So I just want to thank you so much for that. And remember, anyone watching at home, make sure you look at the 23 other episodes. They are extremely informative. So that's enough from me. Dr. Amin, over to you, and then Woody and Tracy.
Thank you, Rob. It's an amazing session and such an amazing, engaging crowd. It's unbelievable. The conversation was great. I would like to just say this before finishing, just that through our efforts, what we are trying to bring to Bali is the latest technology, whether it is testing, like, gut microbiome tests, and we are trying to bring in all the cancer analysis and the latest treatments in the form of integrative medicine so that, Bali catches up to the international standards. That's the only drive. So we seek all your support in our efforts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rob, for this events, for this talk show. It's very much helpful for Indonesia tourism industry, especially we're waiting the packages produced by all the health experts, and I think this is opportunity for new business to Bali. So I think thank you so much, and I hope we can work together to make these things come true. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming here as well. Today was the third episode of The Future of Medicine, Why Bali, and I hope that's clear, why Bali. We're really working together to make a change, yeah.
Round of applause. See you next week. Thank you very much.